Rational morality serves the well-being of all. To adhere to and advocate rational morality is to advance the interests of all who can suffer. The propagation of empathy, the cultivation of compassion, the promotion of respect for sentience, the creation and maintenance of a humane society. These are things from which all sentient beings benefit. A society that is opposed to suffering is in the interest of all who can suffer. That is our maxim, and what a maxim it is. We must care for and advance the well-being of all. This is an immensely rational pursuit. We are precedent-based creatures. Human behavior is heavily influenced by precedent. Every action undermines, reinforces, or creates a precedent. Our actions write the guidelines that will inform the behavior of others. Concerning yourself with the well-being of others is a great way of ensuring that the precedent you contribute to is a rationally desirable one. We are sentient beings first and foremost. On our most fundamental level, we are defined by our capacity for pain and pleasure. Fundamental maxims serve fundamental interests. We must remember our fundamental maxims. We must adhere to them and advocate them. A society that is opposed to suffering is in the interest of one who can suffer. A society that finds suffering revolting and reprehensible is in the interest of one who can suffer. A society that views suffering as the enemy is in the interest of one who can suffer. These maxims identify fundamental interests. They should be followed. They should form a basis for rigid rules. Moral rules must be rigid. The exception is the death of the rule. Allow for exceptions, and every immorality becomes the exception. Exceptions weaken and undermine valuable moral rules. We need simple maxims to follow in pursuit of our fundamental interests. Overcomplicate your interest, and you will lose sight of it. Soon, you will be undermining it. Overcomplicating one's interests causes confusion, uncertainty, and disorientation. This is not in our interest. We need simple, rigid rules. Simple, rigid rules that serve fundamental interests. These moral maxims do just that. These maxims must be regarded as rigid rules, rigid guidelines to inform human behavior. These are the reasons why one should be moral. These are the reasons that one should care for and advance the well-being of all. One must also remember that every action is a justification. Every action serves to justify, legitimize, and normalize particular behavior from others. Every action eases particular behavior in others. Always remember that. One should concern oneself with the well-being of others. One should care for the well-being of all. One should advance the well-being of all. Such a thing also allows one to maintain and reinforce one's own capacity for empathy and compassion. The capacity for empathy and compassion is extremely valuable to a social being. Such capacities greatly enhance social existence. Such capacities greatly enrich the life of a social creature. The capacity for empathy and compassion should be nurtured and protected, maintained and reinforced, intensified and strengthened. We should care about and advance the well-being of all. This serves our fundamental interests, and one can feel high pleasures of meaning, fulfillment, purpose, and satisfaction while doing it. Caring for the well-being of all is a rational necessity. We cannot serve ourselves without also serving others. Selfishness justifies selflessness. Egoism justifies altruism. We are sentient beings first and foremost. We are defined by our capacity for pain and pleasure. We cannot advance our fundamental interests without seeking to advance the well-being of all. Caring for the well-being of others is a rational necessity. That is the reality.